Back in 2010, David and Linda Brown were well retired. They weren't interested in spending their days traveling, enjoying the usual retirement perks. They decided to do something unexpected. They opened a place called The Gathering Tree in Springfield, Missouri, aimed at helping people experiencing homelessness. The Gathering Tree became a spot where folks could get a meal and find a little help. Still, without being able to offer housing, it was tough to give the clients any real sense of stability. And so involved a new concept, Eden Village. Tiny homes were just becoming a thing at the time. The idea was to try to use tiny homes to provide housing to the chronically homeless. In 2017, property was acquired with room for a single lane and 24 residents, 12 on each side. The first houses were built the same year. More than a place to spend the night, it became a place where a resident could live their lives. Each resident gets their own fully furnished tiny house. It's modest in size, but it's theirs with a heavily subsidized rent. It's a place to call home, complete with a living room, bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen. It's warm in the winter and cool in the summer. They have neighbors they can get to know and social events where people with something of a shared history can get to know each other and not feel alone in this world. Residents share gardens, common spaces, and friendships. They grow out of living in a supportive environment. They can earn community points by participating in community activities like the group dinners. Points can be spent at the neighborhood store, which concentrate on things like cleaning supplies and paper goods. David and Linda Brown are the blood, sweat, and tears and prayers behind Eden Village. David, what inspired you to be in retirement to start Eden Village?
Well, first of all, I retired for 8 years, and I realized that my concept of retirement, and I think most people's concept of retirement, isn't why we're on this earth. And so really my wife had the vision before I did. She was very curious about homelessness and the causes of homelessness. And so one day, a small group we were meeting with, one of the guys in the group said, we've been talking for years, let's do something. And the do something was we opened up an evening drop-in center downtown Springfield for 3 hours to allow our friends on the street to get off the street for a little while, to get something warm in their stomachs. But we really wanted to build relationship. We wanted to understand homelessness, the causes of homelessness. And the only way you'll really understand that, unless you've been homeless yourself, is to visit with somebody that's homeless, get to know them, build trust with them, and they'll share with you why they became homeless. And it isn't what we think it is. It's not caused by drugs and alcohol and criminal records and that type of thing. It's really caused by a catastrophic loss of family or support. We have a son that would have been homeless in his life, a period, if it hadn't been for us. But he had that safety net. When I talk to groups, I say to the people, I said, if I would sit down with you, or if I sat down with you, and we looked at your family or your extended family, I would almost bet we would find somebody that was homeless or would have been homeless but hadn't been for the family. And that's the big difference between people you know and our people that are on the street. They don't have any safety net. They don't have any family. So that's what we learned. That's how we learn to love our friends on the street. And that's why we wanted to do something more than just have an evening drop-in center. And that's when my wife, again, she kind of spearheads this whole thing, dragging me along, sometimes kicking and screaming. And she said, what we're doing with this drop-in center isn't solving the problem. It's not the solution. And that's where the idea of a village with tiny homes came to fruition. And that's where we began to explore that. And then Nate Sluter, who is our CEO, basically, he came to us, and he had been involved with a project similar to this, but much bigger in Austin, Texas. So he had experience. Linda and I had no experience. We had the desire, and we were longtime residents of Springfield, and we knew a lot of people, but we didn't know how to go about doing this. Well, he did. So the three of us basically are the co-founders of Eden Village.
Okay, David. You decide to do this. You find this property. It used to be a mobile home park.
Right.
The first time you came in here, what did you see?
Well, fortunately, all the mobile homes were gone. So it was just bare land. It had not a driveway. Let me put this. It had an asphalt road down the middle, beautiful trees, a beautiful piece of property. And that's what we saw. And to Nate's credit, we thought we were going to build a bigger village because there's probably 200 chronically homeless people in Springfield. He said, let's start small. And that turned out to be the wisest thing we ever did. So instead of having one big village, we have this one and a second one. We're getting ready to build a third one. And our goal is to build at least 5 Eden villages here in Springfield.
Wow.
So the idea was to make them smaller. That way, it's more of a neighborhood. And what's important is our staff that runs this gets to know every individual. They know them personally. They know their stories. They visit with them. They build relationships also. And they can tell when somebody's not quite right.
Yeah.
Instead of letting them be on the street and not be right and spiral out of control, they can intervene and stop, get them help what they need. So it's huge thing to do. So that's why the small size is much better. And it's also easy to duplicate. We have actually 12 other cities that are building Eden villages across the country.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
But, thinking about this, if each home was $30,000, you must have started out with at least $1 million or $1.25 million.
This village cost us about $3.3 million total.
Oh, it was.
Well, the houses were $30,000. Unfortunately, that price has doubled since we bought our first house.
Uh-huh.
But it was all the infrastructure. We had to do a lot of infrastructure. Some of it was here, but we had to revamp a lot of it. Of course, building a community center, buying the property, all that added up. And so, we have about $3.3 million in this property.
So is this what you envisioned? Or did this evolve? Did it evolve into this?
A little bit of both.
Uh-huh.
We had a vision. We had it on paper first.
Uh-huh.
So we kind of knew what we were doing as far as layout and where the houses go and how we wanted to do it. So we grew as this grew, and we learned as it went along, learned a lot of things. A lot of it came to fruition the way we thought it would.
Nice. Now, how do you measure success for Eden Village? Here we have one of the residents. And what is your name, young man?
Your name is Kevin, but everybody calls me Garrett.
Okay, Garrett. And how long have you been here?
Been 6 years in December.
6 years.
There's a success story.
Wow. Now, how long were you on the street?
Oh, God. I was a missing person for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So, I was out for a while.
So what has Eden Village done for you, Garrett?
God, it saved my life. But when I came to Eden Village, I was a bad alcoholic. I'm sick.
Uh-huh.
And I was living in a tent in December.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not good, especially with the humidity around here.
Yeah, I was working at an old feed mill down there, throwing 50-pound bags of feed all day long.
You were probably in good shape then.
I wasn't in very good shape.
Well, physically, you must have been in good shape.
Yeah, I've always been pretty good. But no, Eden Village, I don't. This place is a miracle. You see people come in here, and a year later, you won't even know.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. Congratulations. Yeah. It sounds like you have done well.
I've done very well.
Thanks, Garrett.
Thanks to these guys. Thank good Lord upstairs.
Thanks a lot.
What happens is not every person works out here. So we have problems. And so you tend to think about the problem people, the ones that didn't work out and have to leave, and think, are we doing any good? But those people that just walk by here, who've been here a long time, they are safe. They're on the street. They're not on the street anymore. That's a success story, just getting them. the people that we're housing are the chronically homeless that have disabilities. It's a specific demographic, and it's the people that are on the street the most. And there's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of it has to do with some mental health issues. A lot of them have mental health issues. They get physical issues. They don't get taken care of. So they spiral out of control on the street. So a lot of them have a lot of medical issues too. But those people are safe now. They're in a secure community. This is a gated community.
Right.
And so our friends can come and go all they want to, but nobody else can come in this community without our permission because the gates are locked.
Yeah.
And so they can't just bring people in here, and which helps. And actually, we've had several of them that have said, I don't have to say no to my friends anymore. You all are saying no to them. Because they get in a place like this and then they feel sorry for their friends that are still on the street. And if this was just a house in town, they would start letting them come and stay with them and everything. And after a while, they'd run out of control and they get evicted.
Yeah.
So they feel bad for their friends on the street, but they feel good that they don't have to turn them down.
Okay, here's the harder question. How do you and Linda gauge success for yourselves?
Well, I'm not so sure that we're interested in success. We're just interested in having a meaningful life. I think God put us on earth to let him work through us. So I don't think he believes in retirement. In fact, I realized not too long ago that a third of my life I spent growing up and getting educated. And a third of my life I worked. Now I'm in a third of my life in retirement. And what do you do with a third of your life? You don't sit around, watch TV or play golf or travel or read books, that kind of stuff. And that's all okay. But that doesn't fulfill you after a while. So this fulfills us. This gives us a purpose. I had a purpose growing up and getting educated. I had a purpose in my career. When you retire, what's your purpose? And if you don't have a purpose, I'm convinced you'll go downhill and die early.
I understand.
Yeah. So we have a purpose. That's every day we get up and say, here's kind of what we're going to do today. And at the end of the day, we say, here's what really happened, because we're open to see what God puts in front of us. And I think when you're in your career, God doesn't do that to you so much. He wants you to have your career, raise your family, everything. But when you're retired, he throws stuff at you every day that you miss. And I think more and more we're beginning to see the things he puts in front of us and says, oh, we need to go over here instead of down this path that we thought we were going down. And it's really a fun day. At the end of the day, we say, oh, here's what really happened.
Now, you're building your third here in Springfield.
Yes.
Same size as the first?
Yeah, pretty much. This one actually has 33 homes in it. Now, the second village has 24. The third one will have 24. And that's a pretty nice size. That's a controllable size.
Yeah. Okay. You want to do 5 total?
Yeah. We're looking at how many people are chronically homeless on the street. We're hoping to take them all off the street.
Wow.
Our motto is no one sleeps outside. We want to make Springfield a city where no one sleeps outside. The transient homeless can get taken care of a lot easier than our chronically homeless. And they're the ones that you see all the time, year after year. The transient ones are here for a while, and they get themselves put together. Our friends can't do that. They can't put themselves together. We have several that have part-time jobs. We've had a couple that have full-time jobs, but quite a few of them don't have jobs. Well, they can't hold down a job. They can't. Yeah. They just can't do that.
I understand. Now, you mentioned other cities are doing this, using your model.
Yeah, we got some national recognition. Actually, I'll back up a minute. My brother, who lives in Wilmington, North Carolina, knew what we were doing. He'd been here several times, watched us. He came to our grand opening, and we get together, at least once a year and have a fun time together. So he saw what we were doing. Well, he found there was a couple in Wilmington, North Carolina, were thinking about doing something. So he went to him and said, hey, I know a village that's doing this very same thing. You ought to hook up with them. And so we went to Wilmington and talked to them and talked to a bunch of people there about what we're doing. And they thought that's a great idea. So we decided that we would we would license other cities to do what we're doing. And by doing that, we give them all of our intellectual property, all of our material. We work with them. We try to get them up and going till they become self-sufficient. And so we have 3 cities open. Wilmington, North Carolina, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Kansas City, Kansas are already open with Eden Villages. I think we'll have one in Mesa, Arizona, and one in New Jersey, I believe, within this next year. And we've got several other cities that are in the various stages of building or raising the money and building it and everything.
Why license?
Well, it lets us kind of have a little bit of control of what they do.
Uh-huh.
If we're going to give them our model, we don't want them just running off and with our name on that and doing something totally different.
Yeah.
So it gives us a little bit of control over what they do. Plus, it gives them all this. They don't have to start from scratch. We want, if you see an Eden Village in Springfield and you see the Eden Village in Wilmington, North Carolina, and the Eden Village in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they're very similar. And the way they run them is very similar. They can tweak it and do certain things in their own culture. But basically, it's the same thing. And so the uniformity is really important to us.
And there we go. Linda and David Brown, heroes of Eden Village. From concept to execution to success. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit that like button. If you've liked the channel, hit the subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell to get reminded. Thank you for your time.